preposition or an adjective somewhere. Out of 63 words between these two, 60 are 100% copying, word for word. And the Christians, they do not believe in a verbal inspiration, meaning that God Almighty dictated. They were given the free choice. They were tickled. Somehow, come on, write me something. Write like this. You know, we have our prejudices. So write this and write that. They were tickled. They were not dictated to. Like the Quran, we believe, was dictated, word for word. Allah Bari Ta'ala, the first wahi He gives our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, He says, Iqra, read. Our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he says, Ma ana biqarin. He said, I'm not learned. So the angel of God commands him a second time, Iqra, read. Again our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he pleads, Ma ana biqarin. He said, I'm not learned. How can I read? The third time the angel of God embraces him hard and says, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of thy Lord and Cherisher who created. So our Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he grasps that what he was required to do was to repeat. Because this Arabic word Iqra means to read, to recite, to rehearse, to repeat. So he repeated the words as they were given to him. The first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq, chapter 96. And subsequently, during the next 23 years of his prophetic life, whatever was given, word for word, a verbal inspiration, the Holy Prophet had it dictated and had it written down. It's a verbal inspiration. The Christians do not believe in a verbal inspiration. They believe that all these writers were tickled and their own personalities, they came in to the writing of it. So plagiarism, copying, cribbing, we are asking them, where are these Matthew and Luke, where are they cribbing from? Who are they copying? J.B. Phillips, he gives the answer. A prebendary of the Chichester Cathedral in England, a paid servant of the Anglican Church, the Church of England. In his book, The Gospels in Modern English, commenting on the Gospel of St. Matthew, he says, early tradition ascribed this Gospel to the Apostle Matthew. Early tradition. People were talking that, look, this is Matthew did the job, Matthew did the job. But scholars nowadays almost all reject this view. What scholars? Hindu scholars? Muslim scholars? Jewish scholars? No, Christian scholars. Almost all reject the view that Matthew wrote Matthew. He says the author, whom we may still conveniently call Matthew. What else can we do? We have to talk about the book. So conveniently we use the word Matthew, conveniently. Instead of saying the first book of the New Testament, chapter 5, verse 5, the first book of the New Testament, chapter 5, verse, what is this? First book of the New Testament, first book of the New Testament. He says, say Matthew 5:5, Matthew 5:17. Conveniently, we have to use the word Matthew. The author, whom we may still conveniently call Matthew, has plainly drawn on the mysterious Q in inverted commas, which means Quella in German, which means sources, mysterious sources, which might have been a collection of oral traditions. He has drawn, this man Matthew has drawn on Mark's gospel freely. In the language of the school teacher, he has been copying wholesale from Mark. Wholesale. And you call it revelation, you call it wahi, you call it Injil. This man is copying wholesale from Mark, and Mark was a 10-year-old boy when Jesus walked this earth. Can you imagine? An eyewitness, a ear witness, a companion of Jesus, he goes and copies a 10-year-old boy who wasn't there. Who's telling you all this? The Christian learned man, the scholar is telling you. What reason have we to doubt them? What is their motive? Except honesty. They are honest, but it doesn't suit the evangelist, the preacher, the Bible thumper. It doesn't suit him. So he says, no, this is given by God. Analyze it. The Bible, we have been dealing with numerous things. The format was according to his urging. He wanted us to speak for 75 minutes each. I said, look, 60 should be the limit. He said, no, 75. I said, okay, 75, if that's what you want. And who was to speak first? A coin was tossed. You see, the mic system was not working at the back when Shorosh came from the other side, and we met in the middle with the chairman, and a coin was tossed. You couldn't hear what was going on because of the mic. There was no mic, audible mic there. So he said he wants head, and he got head. He won. So he said, now Mr. Deedat, because he won, he has a right to dictate. So he said, Mr. Deedat, you speak first. I said, quite in order. So I spoke first, because he had won the toss. I spoke for 75 minutes, giving facts and figures, quotations. That this is not the book of God, this is not the book of God, this is not the book of God. When his 75 minutes came, he never touched it. Nothing. Look, here was an opportunity. One by one he could have picked them up. If not one, at least half a dozen, at least quarter dozen. He wouldn't touch it. He had his own stories made up, and he read out beautifully. He read it out to you all. You know, 700 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour. Shh. He's got me stumped. Now, there's something what he was quoting scholars. One of them, he quoted some Muslim scholar. I wonder if you remember the name. Masudi. Wallah, I never heard the name in my life. Masudi. That he wrote in his book that Hazrat Ali, he killed 500 persons with his hands. We are talking about the Quran. We are not talking about Masudi or Ghazali or whosoever or Ahmad Deedat. We are talking about the Quran. Does the Quran say that Hazrat Ali killed 500 people with his hands? No. We are talking about the Quran. He said Masudi said such and such. So what are you going to do with it? You're going to start battling with Masudi? How many of you know about Masudi? How many has read about Masudi? I haven't. Wallah, I haven't. But now if you are talking about authors that you can know, current authors, people are living, current time. George Bernard Shaw, a playwright in England, he died. He says that the most dangerous book on earth, the Bible, this is the most dangerous book on earth. He said, keep it under lock and key. Your children must not have access to it. Well, Bernard Shaw is a critic. He's not a good Christian. He's not a born again. Well, listen to the born again. The Plain Truth magazine. The authors are the Armstrong family. Herbert Armstrong, Trevor Armstrong, Ted Garner Armstrong. The owners of Plain Truth magazine. 7 to 8 million a month they publish free of charge to the world. 7 to 8 million. There's not another society in the world who can give out 7 to 8 million copies of a beautiful 4-color magazine. In their magazine, The Plain Truth, October 1977, they say, reading Bible stories to children can also open up all sorts of opportunities. I don't know what opportunities he means. All sorts of opportunities. You read to them Bible stories, it opens up all sorts of opportunities for you to discuss the morality of sex with the children. Incest, rape, murder, adulteries, fornications, all sorts of opportunities to discuss the morality of sex to little children. An unexpurgated Bible might get an X rating from some censors. Cross. Not worth having it in the house. This is an unexpurgated version of the Bible will get an X rating. These are the Christian people telling you, the church people, that will get an X rating. Cross. Is not worth children having it. Comparing the Quran and the Bible, Hans Kuhn, he is a German scholar, in his book called Infallible, ? He is asking the question whether the Bible is infallible. He says, who is this man? This is the 43-year-old Swiss-born professor of dogmatic and ecumenical theology and director of the Institute of Ecumenical Studies at Tübingen University in West Germany, was one of the select group of official theologians appointed during Vatican II Council by Pope John himself. Pope John himself appointed this man, known as the young prodigy of modern theology, Hans Küng. He says, thus the Bible is not a miraculous book like the Quran. He admits the Bible is not a miraculous book like the Quran. A sacred, error-free book. This is not a Muslim talking. He is a theologian of the highest order. It's a sacred, error-free book containing innumerable